Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're doing another game show edition. And because it's the summer of silliness, we're doing a kind of a silly topic that's going to require a few caveats in it, just because saints tend not to commit crimes unless it is a very unjust law. Mm-hmm. So it's the Heist edition. We have only one question today.
Only one?
Only one. However, I have the feeling that there's going to be a lot of cut for time that may or may not end up in a bonus episode, depending on how much is just people Googling different saints and how much is us having witty banter.
Of course there's only one. Because the biggest mistake people make on heists is going for too much. You got to have a clear target and get in or get out, or the cops will be there.
Yep. No, that's true.
All right. So we are going with the pop culture version of the downfall of the Library of Alexandria. We know, in fact, that after Julius Caesar came in and it got caught on fire, it slowly declined over hundreds of years, and it was probably more about the city not paying for, the library than actual, it being stuff. But we're going to go with the pop culture idea. The Library of Alexandria is going to burn down, and you want to save the information from it using your choice of how many ever saints you want. We're going to assume that it's like a modern library and that you can take books out, they lend books to other places and stuff.
Are we in modern times?
No, we're back then. I don't know how a library worked back then. So, depending on how you wanted to, you could insist that you're going to call on every single saint to check out 5 items from the library. That's the most boring heist ever, but you could do it.
I can't bring in modern day technology to assist me.
Correct.
The saints are in heaven. You can bring in whatever technology. You can bring in theoretical future tech.
All right.
Okay.
So, you are saving the information from the Library of Alexandria.
Then in that case, I'm going to go first because I'm going to need to start my heist with a whole other heist.
Those are the best heists.
Yeah, this is there's. I'm sorry to do this to you, Mike, but I am calling upon Saint Carlo Acutis.
Now, you can use modern tech, however, you are back at that time, so he can't just make a database without also having someone in charge of making the electricity and stuff.
Electricity.
Uh-huh.
All right, I gotta rethink this all now.
Because if it was just, we're going to proof it to modern time, photocopy every scroll and come back.
We were going. Me and Blessed Carlo were going to get a couple other people and go to town with hand scanners and just. But yeah, no. If I won't be able to call upon electricity from heaven.
I mean,
that
you can get James and John to go and strike it with a lightning bolt, but that's probably only going to.
That seems like it's going to exacerbate the problem. Yeah. So, do we know a saint who's good at summoning water? But again, that could also potentially ruin all the scrolls. Do we know a good saint against fire?
See
Saint Florian?
See, Saint Thomas Aquinas could dictate 5 different things at once, but somebody else had to be there writing those things down.
So you've got Luke on your team and Mark.
See, Mark would be really good because there's no hesitation in that guy. Everything's got to be done immediately. Luke, he takes this time, he makes sure it's all orderly. Mark gets stuff done.
Well, I was just thinking the fact that Mark probably was a scribe for Peter. So,
yeah, yes. That is what tradition goes.
You know what? And
old St. Popius.
And at the same time, Matthew. As a tax collector, he would have also been literate. Oh, he's so you going with is that 3?
I have 2 different plans.
Ooh. I haven't figured out the plan yet. I'm just.
No worries. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Sadly, I don't see my plan involving any sort of con work going on, confidence work.
Sure.
So I can't really kind of twist it into like an Ocean's 11 kind of a thing.
Although if you were like
you know,
I'm now just imagining St. Christina the Astonishing going up to the head librarian and being like, "You smell of sin. You're horrible." Just berating them nonstop as there's a bunch of saints walking in the background.
I just forget
Saint Lawrence, the patron saint of comedians. I need you to entertain and distract those librarians there.
Well, either him or St. Philip Neri, who's like, shaving half his beard, telling jokes, doing magic tricks. St. John Bosco did magic tricks. That'd be good. Now, I forget which saint it was, but one of the saints during the time of the persecution might have been Athanasius. He did a con in that some imperial troops were following him and were shouting out to him, "Hey, have you seen Athanasius?" And he told them strictly the truth, that if you overtake me, you'll be able to catch Athanasius. So, not a lie, but a con. That guy was always getting exiled.
There's very few ones who are noted for being versus the world.
Yes. Yes. Contra Munda, baby. Oh, the whole world woke up and groaned to find yourself
one more.
Oh, yeah, you gotta have a proper team.
I'm thinking you're right. I'm thinking two-pronged approach is the way to go. Oh, wait.
Well, I was already formulating a plan, and then Jess mentioned that you could not only use contemporary technology, but because we have access to the community of saints who live outside of time, we could even use hypothetical future technology, at which point I suddenly had a different plan.
All right. Your plan will probably be far better than mine. Mine is going to be rather basic. I'm going to go with a two-pronged effort.
Simple as best. Let's hear. Here, why don't I do one of my plans?
Okay.
Then we'll do yours, and then we'll do my second.
Okay.
All right. So, plan A.
So, my first plan involves two saints.
Okay.
Saint Isidore of Seville and Saint Isidore the Farmer. So, I need Saint Isidore of Seville to help identify the most valuable knowledge. Now, he lived after the library had already been lost, so he'd have a good idea of what gaps there were that needed to be filled in, and he had the faculty with the ancient languages. And then, pairing him up with St. Isidore the Farmer, who's one of my favorite saints, reflecting a kind of laziness, in that he didn't want to do his work, he wanted to go to Mass. So his guardian angel would come and plow the fields so that he could go to Mass. So I'm figuring, between him and his guardian angel, they'll be able to move a lot of scrolls out pretty effectively.
All
I've
right.
got the two Isidores.
All right.
Oh, last edition.
Is it St. Moses the Ethiopian? Because that seems to be your Carlo Acutis.
He's back with a brand new edition.
Well, thank you for reminding me. I need Moses in there.
And just because what heist doesn't need muscle? St. Moses the Black.
I mean...
But I'm talking about Moses. We can dig it.
Out of all our popular saints, we keep mentioning these. This is the one that's been in the most heist.
Which... I feel bad because he was trying to reform, and by the end of his life he was, but he is one of the few saints that we know of who was just out and out a criminal before he became a saint. Yeah, most of them, if they're criminal, it's only for trying to spread the gospel. Whereas he was just a straight gangster before he became a saint.
They're the ones where they're criminal because that was the only way they could, get food on the table. They didn't want to be, A lot of the ones that started out, as prostitutes where it's like, it was better.
No, this was not that. But it's like Saint Olga of Kiev. She was just a gangster before she knew Christ.
And then she was slightly less gangstery.
We are all works in progress.
All right.
Nate.
So, we're gonna call this Nate's 8.
Nate's 8. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a two-pronged kind of a thing.
I wish I brought my.
I wish I'd gone with the third prong that I came up with after I'd already started working on it, but
we can stall.
No. It's all right.
Okay.
because the third prong we already discussed, which was the entertaining and distracting the librarians. Presuming that while you may be able to take books, they probably don't want me taking books out.
Yeah, it's one of those research libraries.
So that's we'll say that is stage one, right? Get the librarians good and distracted. Christina the Astonishing and St. Lawrence.
She keeps floating. Suddenly I want barbecue.
This place stinks of sin!
Phase 2, part 2, right? Presuming that we can do any of this means that the building is not completely engulfed in flames and everything is on fire.
Yeah, but that point it's too late to retrieve anything.
Exactly. But it does mean that there are parts of the building that are on fire and there are parts that are less on fire. So, first things first, I need to have a team that works on getting the things that are closer to the fire and we have less time to go and copy out of the building. So for that, I've got St. Thomas Aquinas, the Ox. I've got Francis of Assisi, because he could probably bring in some animals to assist. Livestock that they could pull carts that they could put the books into.
You just should have gone straight with Noah.
See, I'm just imagining him Disney princesses like it, and our little birds are like floating off scrolls.
and St. John, because as everybody knows, he ran faster than Peter.
And it's important for your salvation to know that.
Third prong. I know I said there was only 3, but there's actually 4. Third prong is, of course, the transcriptionists. The stuff the stuff that's not on fire right now, we're going to work on getting that stuff copied down. At least the important stuff out of it.
Setting up your own scriptorium.
Exactly. So for that, I have the most literate people from the Gospels, from the New Testament, being Luke, Mark, and Matthew. All these people were scribes for an apostle or other, and so therefore they should be able to go and read and write. And then the fourth and final prong, to assist them. Well, actually, sorry, no, this one goes here. So in team 2, the removal by theft. I forgot to mention, of course, my hero, Moses the Black. He was a pirate. He knows how to steal. He can get this stuff done. He's kind of running the team, right? And then running the transcription team, I have Therese of Lisieux. Because when she was ill and could not go to Mass.
I think you mean St. Clair.
Was it Clare? The TV?
Yeah, Claire.
Claire's the
Claire was easy.
Sorry, Therese. My mistake.
Now, if you need a Joan of Arc cosplayer, Therese of Lisieux is your woman.
Claire. Because she can get that the televisio, the holy televisio going, so that way they can see the books that they can't get to.
I love it. Do you think those are interesting conversations in heaven between St. Joan of Arc and St. Therese? Like, hey, I used to dress up as you. And Joan's like, yeah, I know, I was a big fan.
You did a really good job on that.
It's extra weird because it would
especially the third time. The third time was your best one. But I thought I really nailed it on the fourth. You went too far.
I especially think it would be funny because it wouldn't have to be in like some universal language we all understand in heaven.
Both French.
They both spoke variations of French. There'd be a certain amount of, the language changed over that length of time.
Yeah, that's like me trying to talk to Geoffrey Chaucer. Yeah, we both technically speak English. But
as far as I know, the correct way to talk to Geoffrey Chaucer is just going...
No, isn't he shouldn't I be punching him in the face?
No, he wrote Canterbury Tales, which is high art literature, except for you're like, this whole story is just a fart joke.
Okay, I thought I heard things
Jesus talks about a latrine. It's fine.
Okay, so what is your plan B?
So, Jess mentioned future technology. So, what we're going to do is we're going to bring a Star Trek-style matter transporter with a self-contained energy source back from some point in the future. And simply so that I can say, beam me up, Scotty, It's going to be operated by St. Margaret of Scotland and St. John Ogilvy, 2 Scottish saints. This is the backup plan in case the Isidores can't get it done.
I love to see how everything went, because given my parameters, I would have just, in the years up to that, had a bunch of people either check out things, or back then they largely like reprinted scrolls and sent it out.
Yeah.
And then just like had someone zap to the current time and put it all in a database.
Yeah, just prepare ahead of time. Don't try to rescue anything from the fire. Ridiculous. Your plan's not dramatic enough.
Yeah,
know.
seriously.
That's why I made you guys in charge of the heist.
Because this heist needs more ridiculousness.
Exactly. It's not silly with your method. You're going to take your cell phone and just go click, 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 click with a couple battery packs, aren't you?
I've got Margaret of Scotland operating a transporter. This is awesome.
I feel like there has to be some saint somewhere whose name was Scott.
Probably. If not, there will be shortly.
All right, so go down below, comment with any saints you know named Scott that weren't just Scottish, and how you would rescue the books of the Library of Alexandria.
What's your scheme and who's your team? Scheme
And
team.
do you have a fun name for it, like Nate's 8?
Bonus points for alliteration. Mm-hmm. Or rhyme. Good rhyme.
Rhyme.
And until next time,
Remember to live your faith.
love your faith.
Share that love. It's a very silly summer.
It is. But I mean, we're making the saints do a heist, but they can't sin.
No sinning going involved. We are rescuing precious things that deserve to not be destroyed.